The story kicks off with a boy waking up in a room he doesn't recognize. As he slowly comes to, he notices a woman staring down at him. At first, he assumes she's his mother, but that thought quickly falls apart when he realizes she's far too young. Confused, he tries to move and ends up glancing at his hands. That's when it hits him. He's been turned into a baby. To make things even weirder, he checks his status and finds that all his stats have reset back to level 1. Even his name is gone. Before he can process any of that, a tall man in full armor walks into the room. The woman immediately lowers her head and addresses him as the king. Watching this, the boy starts wondering if this man is the ruler of the entire land. Not long after, the baby is carried to a priest for a formal naming ceremony. During the ritual, he's given the name Noah and officially declared the 13th Imperial Prince. The moment that happens, Noah checks his status again and sees Imperial Prince added to his title, confirming that he's the direct son of the emperor himself. Once the ceremony wraps up, the emperor asks about Noah's affinity. The priest answers that his affinity is water, and that his assigned thief will be Almeria, a land heavily populated by members of the Water clan. Hearing this, the emperor lets out a small sigh of relief before asking the priest to reveal Noah's full stats. The instant the stats are read aloud, everyone in the room freezes. Every single one of Noah's stats is already maxed out, and his water affinity has reached SS rank, despite the fact that he was only born a few hours ago. That can only mean one thing. He's already awakened. And an awakening at birth is something no one has ever seen before. On the spot, everyone realizes they're witnessing the birth of a monster-level prodigy. But that's when Noah finally accepts the truth. He's been reincarnated into a new life as a noble. The empire he now lives in is known as the Mir's Empire, a powerful nation of warriors surrounded by rugged mountain ranges. Its capital sits on an open plain, and the empire is currently enjoying a golden age. The emperor himself has more than 10 sons, all known as imperial princes, and they're adored by the people as symbols of prestige and power. 6 years pass, and during that time, Noah uncovers a crucial truth about his abilities. To everyone else, his stats look absurdly high, but in reality, those numbers are inflated by the people serving under him. His S-rank water skill comes entirely from Almeria, while many of his other stat boosts come from the maids assigned to him. In short, Noah grows stronger the more subordinates he has. On top of that, he starts suspecting that his level might not even have a cap. After the maids finish getting him dressed, they send him downstairs. Once he leaves, they quietly chat among themselves, admitting how abnormal he is. Kids his age should be loud and troublesome, but Noah is calm, collected, and way too mature. While Noah is having lunch, a beautiful maid named Evelyn approaches him and announces that both the Crown Prince and the 4th Prince are here to see him. She adds that they said he could take his time eating. Noah immediately refuses. He knows exactly who the Crown Prince is and understands that keeping him waiting would be a massive mistake. He asks to be taken to them right away. That he soon meets his older brothers, Albert and Henry. After exchanging greetings, Albert explains they didn't come empty-handed. A trembling servant enters, carrying a sword case leaking a dark, oppressive aura. Albert orders the case opened, and the moment it is, Noah hears screams, soldiers begging for their lives. He knows instantly that those voices are real. Albert tells Noah to pick up the sword. Even though every instinct tells him not to, Noah understands he can't refuse a gift from the Crown Prince. He carefully lifts the blade, feeling its weight before steadying himself. Albert then reveals the sword's name, Leviathan, the strongest water element sword in the Empire. Over 120 people have died trying to wield it. Seeing Noah tense up, Henry reassures him. Anyone unworthy would have been killed instantly just by lifting it. The fact that Noah is still alive proves he's at least compatible. Albert pats Noah on the back and leaves, saying the test was successful. Inside, Noah is furious. That sword could have killed him, and Albert used it to test him without hesitation. Still, Noah keeps his mouth shut, knowing that saying the wrong thing could get him executed. As they walk away, Henry questions whether leaving Leviathan with Noah was wise. Albert responds that the sword belongs with someone brilliant, and that brilliance needs to learn what it feels like to be bitten by its own weapon. Later that night, Noah notices his maid Zoe acting uneasy. After some pushing, she admits her hometown was destroyed by flooding, wiping out her mother's farm. Desperate, she's considered working in the red light district. Noah immediately shuts that down. Instead, he offers her mother a job at the mansion, along with a house to live in. Overwhelmed, Zoe breaks down in tears, thanking him again and again. Although it looks like pure kindness, Noah knows there's more to it. Letting his servant fall into that line of work would stain his name. More importantly, Loyalty like this is hard to buy. After that, Noah calls the butler, Dylan, and orders him to buy as much land as possible in Doso. He predicts that bandits will soon swarm the area. Dylan is shocked by Noah's foresight, especially given his age. In truth, Noah has seen this exact scenario play out in his previous life. To fund the purchase, Noah decides to sell land south of the capital, a gift from the king himself. Dylan warns that this could be considered a crime, but Noah says he'll bear the consequences. That's what nobles are supposed to do. Moved by those words, Dylan accepts. The next day, Noah heads to Doso to inspect the land personally. Henry appears again, noticing that Noah brought Leviathan along. He warns him that the sword has a will of its own and should only be used at the right moment. Upon arrival, they find Doso in ruins. Noah quickly deduces that land deeds were likely destroyed in the flood, meaning purchases must go through official records. While surveying the area, Noah tastes the relief food being distributed and realizes it's rotten. Then the local official, Lord Garl, shows up and openly admits to embezzling funds. Enraged, Noah confronts him. Garl laughs and draws his sword. That's when Leviathan flies out on its own and begins testing Noah, flooding his body with cursed power. Just before collapsing, Noah pushes through and earns its recognition. The sword submits. Garl charges, but Noah strikes first, cleanly decapitating him. To scare off the remaining lackeys, he slams Leviathan into the ground, leaving behind a bottomless crater. Soon after, Rowan arrives and kneels upon recognizing Noah. The villagers follow suit. Noah orders justice restored and proper food distribution resumed, earning the people's gratitude. News reaches Albert, who smirks, realizing Noah is far more dangerous than expected. When Noah later meets his father, instead of punishment, he receives praise. His water skill has risen even further due to the new subordinates he gained. Impressed, the emperor tells Noah to continue serving the empire, and Noah agrees. The next day, Noah heads over to a small local diner located on Raid Street, in search of a popular street singer who often performs there. After entering the diner, he sits down and quietly observing the place. Not long after that, a pink-haired girl steps forward and begins to perform. As she continues singing, Noah listens carefully. He thinks that her voice itself isn't bad at all. However, he can clearly tell that her singing still has a lot of room for improvement. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the diner changes completely when three rough-looking men start yelling loudly and draw everyone's attention. The men shout at Alichi, demanding to know why she's wasting time singing instead of finding a better way to pay off the debt her parents owe them. With a trembling voice, she tells them that she doesn't have enough money to pay off the debt yet. The men begin discussing the second best way for a woman to repay a debt. The people inside the diner can only watch in shock and disgust. Before the situation can get any worse, Noah suddenly stands up from his seat. He walks calmly toward the men and reminds them that it is strictly against imperial law to force a child to take responsibility for their parents' debts. The men scoff at him, and one of them grabs Noah by the shirt and prepares to attack him. In response, Noah instantly counters by using the power of his Leviathan sword. The overwhelming force shocks everyone in the room. The three men panic and immediately flee the diner. Once the danger is gone, Noah turns back toward Alichi and speaks to her gently. He asks her how much she needs to get by each month, and she explains that a large part of her expenses goes toward paying for her mother's medical treatment. After hearing this, Noah tells her that from now on he will pay her 25 Rien every month so she can focus fully on her singing. Alichi thanks Noah deeply and promises him that she will not let him down. Later that same evening, Noah returns back home only to see the same three men he confronted at the diner kneeling in front of the palace gate. They are bowing their heads and begging to apologize for their actions earlier. Noah looks at them. Instead of meeting them, he calmly tells the maids to send them away, explaining that the prince is not someone they can see whenever they feel like it. Not long after that, Noah's elder brother, Henry, walks in and agrees with Noah's decision. Noah then takes Henry inside and explains that his decision was not only about protecting the dignity of royalty. He explains what happened at the diner. Henry is honestly impressed by this way of thinking. Despite Noah's young age, he was able to think several steps ahead. Henry admits that even his brothers who are around Noah's age wouldn't have thought that far. Changing the subject, Henry then asks Noah about the Leviathan sword and whether the rumors are true about him mastering it. Noah confirms that it's true and says that it was only possible thanks to the advice Henry gave him. To prove it, Noah demonstrates by making the Leviathan sword appear right in front of him. Noah explains that the sword didn't actually materialize from nothing. Instead, it was hidden beneath his sleeve and expanded in size on command since the sword has a will of its own. Henry admits that he never knew such a thing was possible and praises Noah for discovering it. Later on, outside the palace, the same three men from earlier are still waiting for Noah to come out. The moment one of them spots him, the man immediately attempts to attack, but Noah quickly releases a bit of his power. This causes the man to shrink back in terror and apologize. Confused, Henry asks Noah what he just did, and Noah explains that he simply intimidated them by drawing on the power of his sword. Later that evening, Noah is invited to attend a royal ball. As he arrives and walks into the hall, everyone present begins applauding him. A lord standing beside him, named Radok, notices that Noah is carrying something at his waist. Noah explains that it's the Leviathan's sword, which was gifted to him by the crown prince himself. The moment everyone hears this, the entire room gasps in shock. One of the guests assumes that the sword must be just a replica. To prove them wrong, Noah releases a small portion of the sword's power. The guests immediately cower in fear as they feel the overwhelming force coming from it. For the rest of the event, many nobles begin lining up one after another just to introduce themselves to Noah. Each of them greets him politely and tells him how honored they are to be standing in his presence. After a while, the next people in line step forward and they turn out to be Brian Allen, the head of the Brian Company, along with his daughter Cindy. After observing for a moment, Noah is able to deduce something surprising. He realizes that Cindy is not Brian's biological daughter, but his adopted one. Not only that, Noah can also tell that Cindy used to be a slave in the past. He kneels down in front of Noah and admits that it's true. He explains that he originally bought Cindy as a slave. But after noticing how quickly she learned and how intelligent she was, he decided to adopt her as his daughter. Noah smiles and invites Brian and Cindy to visit his mansion sometime in the future. Brian respectfully agrees and says it would be his pleasure to visit. After that, Brian and Cindy both politely take their leave from the event. The next day, Noah is taking a relaxed walk through town when he suddenly runs into his brother Oscar, who happens to be the 8th prince of the kingdom. After chatting with Noah for a short while, Oscar invites him to go on a treasure hunt together. Noah agrees, and the two of them immediately head toward Cobalt Street. The two of them spend most of the day searching through shops and stalls, but they don't find anything special. Suddenly, Noah notices a book that catches his interest, so he decides to buy it. Oscar takes a closer look at the book and suddenly freezes in shock. He realizes that the book is actually the Grimoire of Andrea, the legendary sorcerer. Depending on what's written inside, the book could be worth up to 1,000 run. Oscar asks Noah how he knew the book was real. But in truth, Noah had no idea at all. The only reason Noah bought it was because the moment he touched the book, a plus was added to his win stat. Suddenly, Noah pulls out the Leviathan's sword and slowly begins pouring some of its energy into the grimoire. After a short while, Noah loses control of the book. It slips from his hands, falls to the ground, and opens on its own to a spell page. This triggers the forbidden tome, and the sorcerer's soul sealed inside it to materialize right in front of them. Noah calmly raises the Leviathan's sword and swings at once with a single powerful slash. He strikes the sorcerer's soul and completely wipes it out on his own. After the enemy is finally defeated, Noah looks toward his status screen and notices that his win skill has gained an SS rank. He quickly turns around and goes to check on Oscar. Oscar is completely stunned and can barely believe what he just witnessed. Suddenly, a merchant steps forward and kneels before them. The man introduces himself as Alan, the owner of a nearby antique shop. Alan explains that he feels compelled to show them an artifact that he believes to be a true treasure. Once inside, Alan presents a strange and rare ring. He explains that the ring is rumored to only reveal its true form when its rightful owner appears. Curious, Noah decides to try the ring on. The moment he puts it on his finger, the ring begins to react. It releases a strange light and starts transforming, wrapping around Noah's body and forming a set of top-tier armor around him. Seeing this, Oscar steps in and tells Noah not to worry about paying for it. He says he will handle the payment himself and tells Noah to consider the ring a gift. Not long after, Oscar drops Noah off and bids him farewell. Just as Noah is about to head inside, the rugged man from the diner suddenly rushes toward him and tries to strike him. The ring instantly forms a protective shield, blocking the strike completely. The carriage driver reacts quickly and tackles the attacker to the ground. Later that night, Noah returns to the diner to watch Alichi sing. While she is performing, two drunk men suddenly jump onto the stage and begin fighting over her. Noah appears in front of them and uses the Leviathan sword to strike them. After things calm down, Noah speaks to the diner owner and tells him not to let people like that enter the establishment anymore. After that, Alichi approaches Noah and tells him that she doesn't know how she could ever repay him for everything. Noah gently tells her that she doesn't need to repay him at all. All he asks is that she continues singing. Noah then returns to his seat and spends the rest of the night quietly listening to Alki's angelic voice. The very next day, Noah receives a visit from Dead Murray, the general governor of Hajo. As part of imperial tradition, princes are granted control over fiefs so they can learn how to govern them properly. And Dead Murray explains that he himself comes from Alria. Though he is currently stationed in Hajo by imperial order, his assignment is to bring the region's flooding under control, but despite his efforts, the situation has only continued to worsen. Hajo is a fertile land that produces large amounts of grain, located along the bend of a massive river. Yet that same river is the source of the disaster. According to the governor, the real reason the floods haven't been resolved is not a lack of planning, but a lack of funds. Even though the project was approved by the empire, the Ministry of Finance keeps dodging responsibility and coming up with excuses instead of sending the money. Hearing this, Noah doesn't hesitate and immediately heads out to confront the problem himself. He goes straight to the mansion of the finance commissioner, Mabry, where he finds the man casually eating steak. Before Mabry can even speak, Noah cuts him off and bluntly tells him to keep his mouth shut if he plans to dismiss this as something a child wouldn't understand. That single sentence instantly makes Mabry realize that he has underestimated the young prince. Forcing an awkward smile, Mabry explains that Emperor Ararat was so saddened by the floods in Hajo that he exempted the fief from paying taxes for the entire year. And because of that loss of tax income, the treasury supposedly has no spare funds to send. Noah immediately asks if the commissioner is joking, leaving both Mabry and Dead Murray stunned by how direct and harsh the boy's tone is. Noah points out that taxes stopped being collected precisely because there were no taxes to collect in the first place, which was an act of mercy from the crown. Yet Mabry is treating that mercy as a valid excuse to abandon a flooded fief in desperate need. Feeling the pressure, Mabry quickly switches his explanation and claims that the national treasury is currently occupied with building a new summer resort for Emperor Ararat. So the ruler can spend his vacation somewhere cooler than the capital. At that point, Noah completely loses his patience. He openly condemns Mabry for his disrespect toward Hajo, accusing him of valuing a vacation palace over the lives of people suffering from floods. He then threatens to bring the matter directly before the emperor himself. Hearing this, Mabry panics, drops to his knees, and begs the prince for mercy. Noah agrees to let the matter go on one condition: the budget must be transferred to Hajo immediately. Mabry rushes off to comply, and Dead Murray is left stunned, deeply impressed that a 6-year-old boy forced such a high-ranking official of the crown to kneel without yielding even once. The governor apologizes for involving Noah in the issue and leaves to deal with the flooding using the funds that have finally been released. Just as Dead Murray is departing, Noah is informed that Emperor Ararat has summoned him. Noah responds immediately, and when he meets his father, the emperor praises him for resolving the issue in Hajo so efficiently. Noah is surprised that the emperor already knows everything that happened, given how little time has passed, and Ararat explains that information is a weapon, one that his son must always strive to refine. Noah replies that he simply did what felt natural, but the emperor counters that doing what is natural is actually very difficult. Placing a hand on his son's head, the ruler expresses how impressed he is with Noah, despite the boy being only 6 years old. When the emperor tells Noah to stand, he notices that the sword Leviathan has shrunk in size to perfectly match its master's height. Ararat praises Noah's control over a magic sword with such a terrifying history, which reminds Noah of where Leviathan was provoked and released the macabrasma that nearly suffocated everyone in the room. Because of this danger, the emperor decides it would be best to assign Noah a proper instructor so he can wield the sword safely. He summons Damian Noble, the greatest swordsman in the empire, to teach the young prince. To Noah's surprise, Damian asks to test the boy in a duel. Emperor Ararat hesitates, reminding him that Noah is still just a child, but Damian explains that he only wishes to assess Noah's talent, not his technique. Once permission is granted, Damian tells Noah to attack however he wishes. Noah charges straight at him, and in that moment, Leviathan's memories of its former masters surge within him. The two clash, and after several exchanges, Noah shocks everyone by disarming the Empire's greatest swordsman. To Noah, this is exactly what he expected from a magic sword that had chosen him as its master, since its previous wielders must have been highly skilled. Even more astonishing, Damian Noble kneels before Emperor Ararat and declares that he has nothing to teach the boy. Although Noah still possesses the physical strength of a child, he used pure technique to defeat him, meaning the prince already has the ability of a master. Damian believes it would be arrogant to think he could teach someone like that. Laughing loudly, the emperor appoints Noah as the chief examiner for this year's knight selection. Stunned, Noah bows before the ruler and promises to do his best in his new role. The knight selection is a massive annual event involving the entire empire. Normally, warriors fight through regional preliminaries before facing each other in deadly battles at the capital, where the winner earns the title of knight and enters the upper class. However, this year, those knights will become subordinates of Noah Ararat himself. When the emperor asks whether Noah will judge based on brute strength or victory alone, Noah announces that he is abolishing the regional preliminaries entirely. He wants everyone to fight in front of him, because the empire is too vast to monitor every region fairly. And he refuses to let great talent be lost. Later, back at his mansion, Noah asks Zoe whether people from her village plan to participate. She explains that they do, because the knight selection is the only chance for ordinary people to become someone important. However, she admits that only one representative is usually sent each year, because travel and lodging in the capital are extremely expensive. Hearing this, Noah decides to eliminate that obstacle as well. He summons Dylan and orders him to purchase all vacant houses in the capital, and if that isn't enough, to build dormitories. When Byron Allen later presents an estimate for food costs, Noah notices the price is much lower than expected. Byron admits he gave a special rate because the request came from the 13th Prince, but Noah immediately shuts that down, stating that merchants never give discounts out of kindness. Embarrassed, Byron changes the subject and mentions that servant recruitment will occur alongside the knight selection. Noah coldly points out the advantages of placing someone loyal inside the palace, even suggesting that the benefits would increase if Emperor Ararat ordered such a woman to spend the night with him. Sweating, Byron admits he has already paid in advance. Noah agrees to make the recommendation if the candidate is a woman he genuinely likes. Byron kneels, asking to place Noah's crest on his shop sign as proof of subordination. Noah warns him clearly that betrayal will never be forgiven. Later that night, Noah reflects in his carriage on how much his status has risen. Suddenly, he notices his water status has dropped and assumes something has happened in Almeria. He rushes to the palace, where Emperor Ararat already senses trouble. A rebellion is confirmed, involving around 5,000 people. After analyzing the status drop, Noah concludes the rebellion is small-scale. Asked if he wants to handle it himself, Noah declines and recommends his brother Henry, as Noah and Henry continue riding in the carriage. Noah suddenly feels something off. Through Leviathan's power, a sharp sense of danger washes over him. Without hesitation, he orders the carriage to stop at once. Then figures emerge from the surroundings. Hooded men armed with blades and water-based weapons step out from hiding. In that instant, Noah realizes they are Almerian rebels. One of the rebels lunges forward to strike Noah directly. But Noah draws the Leviathan, and with a single flash, he knocks the attacker out of the fight instantly. Seeing this, the remaining attackers rush the prince all at once. Noah, sending enemies flying or dropping them unconscious one after another. Henry is stunned by how effortlessly Noah handled a coordinated ambush. The next day, he orders Byron Allen to buy all horse feed near Almeria, intentionally triggering looting to weaken the rebel cavalry. That concludes episode 3. Subscribe so you don't miss the next part, and get ready for what comes next.